Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Ford had their earnings call, and things are not looking too good for their EV business, but they are guiding for a strong 2024. And Ford shared that they had a new trick up their sleeve. A low-cost EV platform is on its way. So let's check it all out and let's dive right in. So Ford delivered 4.4 million vehicles in 2023, up from 4.2 million in 2022. So Ford did grow pretty nicely in 2023 in their overall vehicle sales. They had revenue of $176.2 billion, but a net income of only $10.4 billion, so basically exact same number as in 2022. So just like GM, they had about twice the amount of revenue as Tesla did, but Tesla had about 50% more net income than what Ford did. So Tesla is making price cuts, yes, but is still the one making the most money on selling their cars. Ford sold 2.5 times more cars than Tesla did, but Tesla had $4 billion more on their bottom line than Ford. Yes, I still think Tesla had a great Q4 and 2023 despite the mainstream media and many analysts like to tell us otherwise. But if Tesla had a bad year, what do you call Ford's year? Just look at Ford's free cash flow compared to Tesla. Well, Tesla generated almost 14 times more free cash flow in Q4 2023 than Ford and GM combined. But Tesla was the one that was supposed to have a bad quarter, right? Sure. The one that had a bad quarter was Ford's Model E business, their electric car side of the business, as they lost $1.6 billion just in Q4 and brought Ford's Model E to a total loss in 2023 of $4.7 billion on selling just 116,000 EVs globally. So they lost more than $40,000 per EV they sold through 2023. So no wonder they would like to cut back on EVs, as they are losing more and more money on selling them, as we can see on this chart here from AJ on X. But Tesla's margins are shrinking. Well, at least they have margins. Ford margins is negative, almost 80% on their EV business. But the big problem for Ford is also that they don't really have any of their vehicles at scale yet. Like Elon is always talking about, getting production line to about 5,000 units per week is very important, because that is where they become profitable. Ford doesn't even make that per week in total with all their EVs combined. They don't even make half of that combined. And now they are scaling back, making economy of scale even harder to get to, making sure it takes longer to get to profitability on their EV business. And we can now also take a look at Ford, GM and Tesla's bottom line and see how they did compared to each other, like we have done for the last couple of years. And as you can see, Tesla is still beating them both on net income, even though they sell twice and triple the amount of cars and have twice the revenue. But if you listen to the mainstream media, Tesla is the one that had the bad year in 2023. But Ford forecast for 2024 includes adjusted earnings before interest and tax between 10 to $12 billion. So basically what they did in 2023, but is guiding the upper end of the target $1 billion higher than they did last year. So let's see how that goes, if Ford will be able to get above $11 billion in 2024. I personally expect the legacy automakers to struggle a bit in 2024 as the EV market share continues to rise, but they are not keeping up with the BEV share of the market. This will eventually hurt with them. Maybe not before 2025, but I think we will start to see it in 2024, but we have to wait and see how this plays out. But Ford does have another card up their sleeve to try to get the cost of their production of EVs down. Ford is designing a low-cost EV platform to battle the Tesla Model 3. CEO Jim Farley said at the earnings call that Ford's Skunk Work team has developed a new low-cost EV platform to compete with Tesla and the Chinese OEMs. What about Mary, Jim? She led and it matters. What about the competition against the other legacy automakers? Well, I guess Jim truly understands who the real competition is. Unfortunately, Ford had no mention of when this new low-cost EV will enter production, and that's quite relevant, because as Elon always says, it's the pace of innovation that matters, not the innovation itself. So it is great to hear that Ford is working on a lower cost EV platform, but if they can't get that to market before the end of this decade, I personally think that will be a little too late, because Tesla is already working on their production line for their $25,000 EV, their next generation EV platform. So that should be out in 2025 at the latest. So we are talking about next year. And BYD already has affordable EVs available in China and is starting to enter the European market for real this year. SAIC is already here with the MG4 that has been the third best-selling EV in Europe in 2023, and many more will come from China over the next couple of years. So Ford will not have like their normal product development cycle to get this off the ground. Ford usually has a 5-year product development cycle. So if Ford has been at it for 2 years, as Jim said at the earnings call, they might still be 3 years out before they have something on the streets. And then I truly hope they have been looking at how to scale this up fast, because so far what Ford has been showing us has not been impressive. Like the Ford Mark E that Ford started production of in December 2020, but in all of 2023 they only sold 40,000 Mark E's. The third full year of production, compared to Tesla that started production in March 2020 but sold 1.23 million of the Model Y in 2023, their third full year of production. So Ford really has to come out and show us that they have been working on some improvements on the production side of the low-cost EV platform rather than just the car itself, and how they will be able to scale this up faster than any other EV they have produced before. And they also have to cut their product development cycle way down at the same time, because if they follow their old production development cycle, we are talking about 3 years from now, and if they're not able to scale up faster than they did with the Mark E, we are looking at 40,000 of these low-cost EV in 2030. That is, of course, way too late. So Ford doesn't have to just come up with a low-cost EV platform so they can actually start earning some money on selling EVs, but they have to improve their product development cycle quite significantly as well, and improve their ability to scale up EV production. So a tall order for Ford, and the next low-cost vehicle from Ford of course also have to come with their own operating system. So it will be able to get over-the-air updates and many new features, or it will be obsolete before it even comes out and will not be able to compete with the likes of Tesla and the Chinese OEMs. And we have seen just how difficult this is for the legacy automakers to come up with great software, as they have never programmed anything before, and now they suddenly have to become software companies in only a few years. Volkswagen is probably the best example, with them buying the Carrot software company for $6 billion, but that has been a complete disaster, and they have been firing people left and right, including former CEO Herbert Diess. And Volkswagen is now trying with other software companies in China. So just this part alone is very difficult for the old guys. So there are so many things Ford has to do for this to come true and be just right. It's a complete rethink of their entire way of doing things. Luckily, Jim Farley is saying that he has been treating their Model E team as a startup, so hopefully they are really trying to do this from scratch, starting with a blank canvas and not trying to make this fit into their old way of doing things in their old outdated factories and production line. So Ford might get all of this right. There is of course a chance of that, but it will not be easy for Ford to get all of this right in such a short amount of time. But of all the CEOs of the legacy automakers, I personally think Jim is the one that sees what needs to be done and is making many of the right moves towards that. But will he be successful of getting Ford from 100% fossil fuel company to 100% EVs? Well, time will tell. But it is going to be very exciting to learn about Ford's second EV platform and hopefully completely rethinking the production line as Ford themselves did over 100 years ago when Ford invented the production line and came out with the Model T. Where Ford did get the price down of the Model T from $850 to $300. So they have done it before, but that was the invention of the production line. Let's see if they can come up with something new for the EV. But we have to wait anxiously to see how all of this turns out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.